Welcome back, this is Luca, and Fujifilm had a great idea. They came up with a web page, you're gonna find the link in the description below, where they gave us, I believe, 14 options, and we can vote 3 of them to kind of determine what they're gonna be working on in the, hopefully, near future. I believe this is a good way of knowing the audience, knowing what people want, especially from a overall direction, whether they want professional lenses or they want small lenses or stuff like that. It's gonna give you an idea of what people want to see from the brand. So I definitely like that idea. Now, as pointed out by Patrick at Fuji Rumors, the fact that a lens is not in that list doesn't mean they're not even thinking about it. What it may also mean that they've already committed R&D resources to that and they're already committed to making it. So just consider that that is a possibility. I believe this is the case, for example, of the 18mm f2, the new version of the 18mm f2. I have a video, like modern review coming with a high megapixel sensor later this month, so stay tuned for that. There's no 18mm f2 version 2 in that list, and I believe this is because they know that they have to make it and they're gonna make it no matter what. But the purpose of this video is to go through each and every of those options, try to talk about those. And my intent is we're going to go from the ones that I personally consider the least important, the least attractive, going towards the top of my list, and then talk to you about the podium because we can vote 3 of them, and giving you the reasons as to why I think that makes sense, that doesn't make sense, and why I voted those 3 lenses in that specific order. So let's start with the ones that I'm interested in the least, because there's several of those. I don't care at all about new manual focus lenses. I believe there's no reason to go in that direction, and I believe for that, third-party lenses are probably the best solution. They can make it cheaper, they can dedicate to that. For example, Voigtlander if you want top-of-the-line stuff, or there's other manufacturers that do that. It's too niche of a product to spend R&D on those. I couldn't care less about brass versions of the 23, 35, and 50mm f2 that are already present, the Fujicrons if you want to call them, because even if they're coming up with a brass camera, I don't know, I don't like colored lenses, I don't like silver lenses, I don't like brass lenses, so it's probably my thing. And at the end of the day, they're not even new lenses. It's new finishes on a lens that already exists. So no, thank you, at least for me. I couldn't care less about a ghost control version of the 16 to 50. The kit lens that I reviewed over here will be a lens that, depending on the hood, would create a lot more flare and ghosting and stuff like that. I don't think there's a market for that. I personally don't care at all for a lens like that. Last but not least, I couldn't care less about a soft focus lens. Nowadays, you can soft focus afterwards. I don't know that sending funds for R&D on a lens like this makes too much sense. It's a niche product. I don't know how many people are going to buy a product like that. So for me, it's a no, thanks. This ends the ones that I don't care at all, and I believe it's a waste of time working on. Again, personally, let me know in the comments below if you think about it differently. I am torn on the 2 prime in 1 combination, the 18 and 30mm lens. That could be a very good idea. It's not something new. Other manufacturers in the past have done something like that. I believe 18 and 30 for a straight combination in 1 lens could be interesting. I don't know that at the end of the day, though, there are going to be that many people buying it. I believe if you want something like that, you can definitely use zoom lens. Zoom lens nowadays are really, really, really good. But at least I realize it's an interesting idea. And if you make it in a modern way, it may make sense. I also believe that the 90mm f2 APD could make sense. I don't know the numbers of 56mm APD that they sold. The fact that they haven't made a new version with APD, that tells me that probably there isn't that much interest in that. So I don't know, even for the 9mm f2, I understand the reason behind getting that option to us, but I don't know if there's enough market for that to make it an interesting option. Now we're moving towards the one that I consider really exciting. I want to start from the f1.2 Cine lenses. Now, this would have been at the top of the list if instead of the Eterna GFX had they made an Eterna XH2S. These lenses would have been towards the top of my list because it would have made a lot of sense. As it stands, although the XH2S is still a very good, actually a great video camera, I don't know that there's a market for that until they come up with a proper cinema camera for the APS-C market. So among those that make sense to me, they're at the bottom of the list just because of that. Next to me is the 33mm f1.0. And this could have been higher, but basically this lens was already rumored a long time ago. That lens became the 50mm f1.0. I tried that lens. The lens is a statement, and the 33 f1.0 would be a statement as well. But at the same time, that lens was huge, heavy, expensive, and from an image quality standpoint, I personally believe I prefer the new 56mm f1.2. So that will be a lot of R&D. I mean, maybe not a lot of R&D because they already worked on that. So it will be some R&D. I don't know if there's a lot of market for a lens like this. But on the flip side, this would be a huge statement and would be Fujifilm telling us, hey, we can make those hollow aspirational lenses even if only few people are going to buy. Next in my list, I put them all together. They're basically giving us three potential options on the 35mm f1.4, a new 35mm f1.4. Now, a little bit of context. The 35mm f1.4 is one of those staple lenses in the Fujifilm X lineup. It's a 14 years old lens. It was launched together with the X Pro 1, the 18 f2, and the 60mm f2.4. That lens is the one that every Fujifilm shooter that jumped on the Fujifilm bandwagon have used at least for a good portion of their time with Fujifilm. Everyone's using it. And that lens is still, I was looking through files, that lens still gives me very good vibes when I look at the pictures that I took 14 years ago, 13 years ago with that lens. Now, the three options are basically two versions of the same optical design. One is just adding to the existing one the weather resistance, while the other one is adding new autofocus motors, faster and silent, but it's not adding the weather resistance. While the other option is a non-weather resistant new optical design lens. Among these three options, the one that I think makes more sense is keeping the same optical design, so not much R&D when it comes to the optical design of the lens, because it's still good. Again, I was looking through those files and the optical design is still good. Also, we have a new 33mm f1.4. We have a clinical version for the same focal length. It wouldn't make too much sense to come up with a new version with a new optical design that would just compete with the same lens. So that's why I'm seeing it. So keep the same optical design, but give us good autofocusing motors, silent autofocusing motor. If they make something like that, this lens is going to absolutely sell like hotcakes. I would purchase it right away. I'm thinking about purchasing the old version. So that's how much I like that optical design. It's not perfect. It's not meant to be clinical, and it's okay not to be. So that will be my choice. And now it's time to discuss my top three, the three lenses that I voted for. At number 3, I have voted for the 14 to 140. It's a super zoom lens, but it's a very usable focal range. And basically it is Fujifilm going at Sigma in their own field. I own for Sony the 20 to 200, this lens over here. If this is possible for full frame, a 14 to 140 must be possible for APS-C. This lens is very good, and go watch my review over here. It's just, it must be one of those options. And right now, I love my Fujifilm cameras for travel, for hiking and stuff like that. But because of the existence of a lens like this that gives me everything in one lens, I'm taking my Sonys out just because of this lens specifically. So going at this type of market, to me, it's really important. I can already see an XT50 with a small version of a 20-200, so the 14 to 140, it will just be a great combo for lightweight, going around, traveling, whoever goes with their motorcycles, one camera, one lens, not much room in your backpack. Those choices are super, super, super interesting for a very large portion of demographics. Number two is the 16 to 80 millimeters f2.8. Now, I have recently switched my Sony gear. I used to have the 28 to 45 f1.8 and the 35 to 150 from Tamron. I sold both of them in order to get this Sigma 28 to 105 f2.8. This is a huge lens. It weighs 1 kilogram. Based on what Fujifilm says, they can make a 24 to 120, so a wider focal range, for 500 grams. That's what they're saying. But even if it's a little bit more, that will be incredibly useful. For the professional market, this would be one of those lenses that would sell incredibly, incredibly well. I love the flexibility that I get with my Sigma lens over here, and I would love to have this possibility on Fuji for their professional lineup. I believe if they make it the way they explained it, so approximately 400, 500 grams, to me it would be okay even if it was 600 or 700. Let's be honest. On an XH2 type of body, that will work perfectly fine. That will be a hot product that every professional that still is in Fuji probably will go at without thinking about it. The only option that would take them away from getting that potential 24 to 120 of 2.8 would be my number one choice, and that is the 18 to 50 millimeters f1.4. Now, that lens is going to be big. Fujifilm says 700 to 800 grams. If they can make it like that, it will be an incredible achievement. And again, it's Fujifilm going at Sigma, because Sigma launched their 17 to 40 millimeters f1.8. Fujifilm is saying we can one-up you on both range and aperture. That lens is going to be big. That lens is going to be heavy. That lens is going to be very, very, very expensive. But that lens is going to be one of those aspirational lenses, one of those lenses that tells Fujifilm's audience, the professional audience within Fujifilm, hey, we care about you, we're not leaving the professional line behind, very much like the 16 to 80 millimeters f2 would. And now I'm curious to know what you voted for, what it is that you voted for, why you did that, and why you agree or disagree with what I stated in this video. That is it for today. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned, because again, you asked for it, and I'm working on the 2026 review of a lens that was launched 14 years ago, the 80mm f2. Grazie, ciao, and I'll see you in the next one.